want to emphasize again on feeling regret, that the greatest part of feeling regret is knowing Allah. The more you know Allah, and that's why Ibn al-Qayyim, he has a statement, if I remembered it correctly, he said, "Man kana billahi a'raf, kana minhu akhwaf, wa li'ibadatihi atlab, wa an ma'siyatihi abad." He said, whoever knows Allah more, fears Allah more, and worships Allah more, and disobeys Allah less.
Wow.
This is just knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and His names and His attributes and His actions. It really does, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ was the one who feared Allah the most and did istighfar the most.
Yeah.
And someone will say, why do istighfar the most? The one with the least sins, he has no major sins at all.
Yeah.
Any small error that he ever fell into is instantly forgiven. Any future error that he ever fell into is instantly forgiven. And yet he makes istighfar more than everybody else.
Because he knew Allah.
He knows Allah more.
Just like that, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. The ones who truly fear Allah are the ulama, the scholars, the ones who know Him the most.
And this here, the word ulama here, even sometimes the word scholar here can be deceptive in the sense that people think that it means the mujtahid or the great scholar of fiqh. Here, the word ulama means someone with ilm. The more ilm you have, the more you fear Allah, and you don't really fear Allah until you are a person of knowledge. And so that's to do with feeling regret. And I think it's also really helpful to have things that you listen to, lectures, or even ayat of the Qur'an, particular surahs that you read, that you know will get you into that mode of thinking, will like a maw'idha, like an admonishment, something which really touches your heart and you realize. Because I remember when I started practicing, so I accepted Islam when I was 14 and I started practicing a bit later. I was struggling to practice when I first became Muslim. And when I started practicing, there were a few things that I just wouldn't leave. And I remember, generally speaking, I used to listen to a lot of really good lectures, and we listen to lectures about Jannah, Sifatul Jannah, and about the mercy of Allah. But sometimes you need a bit of fire and brimstone. Yeah,
needs to be fear and hope of people.
You need a bit of you need somebody to give you a maw'idha that makes you shake. And this actually brings me to an ayah in Surah Al-Mu'minun. When Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْتُونَ مَا آتَوا وَقُلُوبُهُمْ وَجِلَةٌ أَنَّهُمْ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ رَاجِعُونَ. Those people who give what they give, when their hearts are trembling, knowing that they're going to return to Allah. Aisha, she misunderstood the ayah. She said to the Prophet ﷺ that this ayah must be the person who commits zina and steals, and she mentioned some sins, and she got the impression that this ayah has to be about the person who is doing major sins and their heart is trembling because of the major sins.
Mm-hmm.
And the Prophet ﷺ said to her, La yabnat as-siddiq. He said, no, O daughter of a Siddiq. This ayah was revealed about the one who prays and fasts and gives charity. The person who prays 5 times a day, they fast, they pray extra prayers, they fast, and they're so scared that Allah will not accept it from them. And from this is, for example, to listen to, for example, a maw'idha or a lecture about things like إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. This ayah, it has to come from the ayat that is the most scary of the ayat in the Qur'an. Among the ayat that just leaves you terrified, Allah only accepts from the righteous. It is possible that somebody would do the actions of the people of Jannah and Allah doesn't accept a single one of them from them because they were not righteous enough. For this, these kind of things, it is, these type of things, it really makes a difference. And from them is what we said, what you mentioned earlier about remembering death. And that's why they said that, what did Umar have written on his ring, right? Kafa bil mawti wa'idha. Death is enough of an admonition. If you want something to admonish you and make you scared, if death doesn't make you scared, kafa bil mawti wa'idha. The death is enough of a reminder for you. And really to when we need to take lessons, and when we stop taking lessons from people when people pass away, This is a really bad sign for a person when you become desensitized to death. So this all is to do with feeling regret for the sins that you've done. And you imagine if you were really on your deathbed at this moment and the angel of death came to you, how much regret you would feel. Wallah, you would regret even the makruh, even the mustahab that you didn't do, even the extra dhikr you didn't do. Rabb irji'un, my Lord, return me to this earth. Just give me one more moment on this earth. The person would be full of regret. But the shaitan decorates, and beautifies your sins for you in your heart until you don't feel regret for them.